Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and Happy New Year! This is my first video of 2023. I am delighted to be back in the new year and starting out reactions, I think, hopefully very strongly. This is going to be a reaction and an analysis of Tommy Johansson singing She's Gone, originally by Steelheart. This was a direct request from Karina Redebeck, and I'm really excited to look into this because, of course, I covered Sabaton's Christmas Truce a few weeks ago, and Tommy Johansson is their guitarist, and I'm really interested to see what he does with his solo work. So this is going to be very intriguing for me. I know the song, She's Gone. It's from Steelheart's first original self-titled album. I think it got to something like number 60 or number 50-something on the Billboard Hot 200 back in the day. And one thing I do know about Steelheart is they did not have at least the initial success that they should have done in the US. They are a fantastic band. Started off with glam metal as their style, and they were a great band, but they just didn't find their success here. And in actual fact, found it more in Asia. They have a huge following in South Korea. And indeed, I believe that Miljenko Matijevic, the frontman who also wrote She's Gone, is now, or was at least for a long time, had quite the career on sort of music competition programs and things like that in South Korea, which is quite an extraordinary, sorry, a shadow in my way, had quite an extraordinary sort of outcome of his work. So that it surprised me when I realized I went back and looked at their track record, and they just hadn't done as well in the US as I thought they would have done. Miljenko himself, very talented singer, also voiced what was the movie? There's a Mark Wahlberg movie from the early 2000s. I'm going to have to double check this now. He was the vocal double for Mark Wahlberg. Rockstar. That's the one, isn't it? Hang on. Let me just double check this. Yes, Rockstar. He vocal doubled Mark Wahlberg for that. So if you've seen that film, you've already heard Miljenko. And yes, this is Tommy Johansson's take on the song. So I am very interested to see how this works. But before I jump into that, two quick things. Firstly, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. This is a reaction and an analysis channel. So first thing I'm going to do is watch this straight through from beginning to end and just emote and comment on it over the top, but I'm not going to pause it or interrupt it in any way. And then I will go back, and second time around I will watch it through with pauses and offer some sort of analysis, thoughts, comments, etc. Whatever comes into my head as we go, essentially. If you are new to my channel, my expertise is kind of very scattered. I have a channel introduction video that will tell you more about me, but I will offer insights into music, into singing, into visuals, whatever really kind of catches my eye or my ear. So that's kind of what I do. I'm not any one specialism, but more I have a variety of experience across the board, and so I try and comment on different things. So that's me, and please like the video if you enjoy this. Hit the subscribe button. As I record this, I'm at around 980 subscribers, and I'm so close to hitting that 1,000 mark, and I would love to tip over that number this week if we can. I see no reason why we shouldn't, so fingers crossed, and if you'd like to be one of those last few that tips me over, then please go for it. Hit the notification bell if you would like to. Obviously, don't worry about it if you don't, that'll tell you when I'm uploading videos, but if you'd just like to subscribe and catch them at your own leisure, feel free. And if you'd care to, head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, and you can buy me a coffee there and donate to support the channel. And in actual fact, every donation I receive between now and between a few weeks ago when I did the Sabaton Christmas Truce video and the end of January 2023, I will be donating 50% of that to the PTSD Association of Canada. So, without any further delay, let's rock on and check out Steelheart's She's Gone, covered by Tommy Johansson. I'm excited for this. Nice. Nice focus on the guitar while he's playing this solo.
She's gone.
Cool.
Out of my life, I was wrong. I'm to blame. I was so untrue. I can live without love in my life.
Nice. Good build there over that first intro.
Empty space. All my dreams are lost. I'm wasting away. Forgive me, girl.
Nice. Oh, yes, Tommy.
Won't you save me? My heart belongs to you. Can you forgive me for all I've done to you?
Great tone up there.
She's gone
Nice.
out of my life. Oh, she's gone.
This is one of the great power ballads.
So hard to
And Tommy's voice is great for this.
I really miss that girl, my love.
Slightly shifty look.
Into my arms, I'm so alone. I'm begging you, I'm down on my knees. Forgive me, girl. Won't you save me? My heart belongs to you. Lady, can you forgive me for all I've done to you? Lady,
Yes. Gorgeous up on that top note. That's a cool solo. Nicely done. I like the simplicity of this video. Okay. Woo! Yes! Nice. Woo! So what I'm gathering from this is he can be a bit of a goof. Oh, that's fun. That's a really good cover. I like it. Interesting, he's got symphonic power metal down here on his Green Day cover. And it's like, I like the instrumental part of this. I am passingly familiar with the original, as I say. I don't remember. I know they had a lot of keyboard in that, but I think it was piano sound that opened it. I don't think it was strings. I like the idea of the string pad. It gives it a nice full sound that can play around underneath. It's a little bit more the sort of sound you would expect from a cover like that these days, whereas I think the piano is very, very typical of... Was it 1990 that the album Steelheart came out, so it's kind of more typical of that sound. That's fantastic. I can't remember the original well enough to know if he's mimicking some of the riffs and solos or if he's made up his own, but I love it. He's kept the style, that kind of power ballad. Miljenko's voice was outrageously high, and it felt like he could almost just sail up the notes to sort of hit peaks of sound, and that Tommy's going right up there. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I know right before the guitar solo, there's the three ladies that get higher and higher. I know that was the same, I think, as what Miljenko does. I'm not 100% sure about the ending. I can't remember that as well, to be honest. But that is a really good cover, and I love that it has this sense of humor. It takes away a little bit from the more serious nature of the lyrics, but I don't think that really matters, because it's such a melodramatic song in terms of how it's been written that I think a little bit of humor in there really isn't a bad thing. That's great. Incidentally, I should have said this at the beginning. I apologize if I'm sounding a little stuffed up. I've been getting over the same dratted thing for about the last 2 weeks, and I'm significantly better than I was, but I definitely still have remnants of it in my system. So sorry if I'm sounding a little bit congested. It's because I am. All right, let's take this back to the beginning and go through it again and see what we can see. So I'm hearing there, I think, there's something... Is it an oboe? There's obviously a synth, but an oboe synth, possibly? Just trying to work out what that instrument is that's playing above the strings. There's definitely something in there. Yeah, a synth of some sort. I'm not quite sure what. I like this start on the guitar playing in this sort of... It's almost got that sort of old TV filter with the lines across the screen, the darkened colors. You can see the sort of pronounced reds and blues around the outline of the guitar. It's a nice choice to sort of start this with when it's, he's obviously playing something here that is not being played. This is footage from later in the song, but it's a fun start to give you an idea of what's coming. A little bit of a teaser, and it's given him something to put up here that doesn't detract from the tone of what he's about to do with the rest of the video, but lets him put something up that isn't just him, listening on headphones or nodding his head or whatever to pass the time, but isn't just the title card either. This is a good choice. I like it. Yeah, it's really effective. And I talk a lot about pauses, and I like that because there isn't really one. The second the strings are about to fade out, excuse me, you get that timpani roll underneath coming in, and so it immediately fills the sound, and it's more of a crossfade, but it's not quite a crossfade. Crossfade would imply one sound is dying out as the other one is coming in, and there's no real break in the sound, but the sound never really stops. It doesn't quite fade out before the power starts coming back in again, and I like that. I think that's a really good choice. And then we come back in full resolution, full color, and we get this first really cool image, and I'm just going to comment on it here because I think it's really nice. You have Tommy wearing black, with a white guitar on a black background. And so the only things we really see of color that isn't, that aren't just black in this video are him, the person, under his clothes, and the instruments. And that's a really nice choice because you've got very differentiated elements. Obviously, he is standing out from the background, even though he's wearing black. Obviously, it's a different black because there are layers of black, and the fact that he's skin and hair tone and face and all that kind of stuff. He's very definitely there, standing out from the background. He's not trying to disappear into it in any way. And then there's the instruments there, and that's all we're focusing on in this song. He doesn't do anything else crazy with the video. Total contrast to the Sabaton video, which was a small film. This one is just him singing into the microphone. And it's interesting because it focuses, it almost like highlights the sincerity of the song, which he's then going to break with some of his little fourth wall antics later on. It's a curious choice, but I like it. I think it gives a cheeky vibe to what he's doing. It's really good fun. But I love this stark white guitar. The choice of using a white guitar against the black background is great. Nice. You kind of get an opportunity to see a little bit of his guitar technique here, which is kind of fun. You can see he's obviously using a plectrum to play. You can see his fingers moving around the frets. I suspect most people know this, but just as a momentary aside, in case you've never played a string instrument and don't know how they're played, the 6 instruments, as we see them here from top to bottom, so the top being the thickest one, or I guess left to right, that'll be the deepest string, the other end is the highest string, and then the closer you are to the body of the guitar, where we're seeing his hands now, the higher you're playing on the string, and down at the end, near where the tuning pegs all are, at the other end of the guitar's neck, that's the low end of the string. And in a guitar's case, string instruments, like a double bass or a violin, you just have the neck is bare, and you get used to the differences of how far you need to move, which is why you'll often see positions being shifted because they've memorized the distance on their instrument. With the guitar, you have the frets, which are the metallic lines that are, that's not why I'm pointing at my screen, the metallic lines that are going perpendicular to the neck, and each fret is a semitone. So that's the momentary thing on how that works. And then the other thing you see him using here, which he's catching with his ring finger and pinky finger on his right hand, is this metal bar that he's rotating. And that's called a whammy bar. And I think, I'm not 100% sure about this, guitar players correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what it does is it very slightly, as you bend it, it slightly increases the tension on the strings. And so it essentially tunes them up fractionally, which is why you get that waver in the guitar. It's essentially vibrato on a guitar that's created using that bar. It's just kind of cool getting this, this moment to see what he's doing close up right at the beginning of the video before we switch to the voice, because the guitar is the focus right now.
She's gone out of my life. I was wrong. I'm to blame. I was so untrue. I can live without love.
Interesting there. There's a lot of simplicity in the voice. He's not doing anything crazy with the beginning of this. He's keeping it true to its kind of power ballad roots. He's got beautiful tone coming in there. I'd also wondered, initially I wondered if he had people playing with him. I didn't check the description of this video, but actually you can see by the ring on his middle finger on his right hand, this is him playing the piano as well. But yeah, I'm just going to go back on this one more time and go from the intro of the singing. I love this intro. He sings it so well.
She's gone out of my life. I was wrong. I'm to blame. I was so untrue.
Notice he's also not opening his mouth too wide thus far. So it's not so. It's keeping it in that. It's a slightly more constrained sound. He's not letting loose yet, which of course, it's early in the song. You don't want to do that. But he's keeping the mouth movement minimal and just using his own natural projection to put the sound out, together with the mic, of course. Which I think it's a great choice. It creates the right kind of vocal sound for early in this.
I can live without love in my life.
I'm interested to know about the other instruments. Like, we see him playing guitar and piano. Are the drums somebody else playing, or is it, like a synthesized drums? I don't know. I would be curious to know. They sound really good, but I don't know who would be playing them. You know what? Momentary stop. Let's see if anything is mentioned in this description. Song recorded, produced, and performed by Tommy Johansson. Video edited also by Tommy Johansson. Oh, we got another of these. I love it. It's great when groups are small, like the groups of people working on something. Filmed by Mandy Spice. There's the guitar. The bass is VST software. The drums. Okay, there we go. VST. So they're VST instruments, which means they are played. You can play them in with a MIDI keyboard. Or something like that, into you have them going through. The MIDI keyboard as a controller, and as you play them in, you can control the instruments, and they're astonishingly realistic. I used to compose with VST instruments back in the day, and you can have things like, for example, playing a clarinet. If you hold down the sustain pedal on the piano, which is what has in a piano would make the notes hold, it keeps the dampers off the strings so that they're not cut off, and the notes hold under what you're playing. If you did that while you were playing the clarinet, the VST interpreted it that it was a slurred, long passage where the first note is played as a tongued note, and then the breath isn't changed. It's just you keep playing as one long legato passage. Whereas if the pedal was not put down, every note would be treated as a separately tongued note. So you'd be... and each note would be played, it would sound more staccato. And this was 20 years ago, or 15 years ago. I'm sure they're significantly more powerful now, but you can get astonishingly... Was it the Chicago National Ballet? Or something like that? When I bought the VST orchestral package that I got, they just done their Nutcracker that Christmas to an entirely virtual orchestra. It's astonishing how accurate they've got. Anyway, so yes, and the orchestral he's got here down, orchestral instruments 8DIO Majestica 2.0. So also virtual instruments. Presumably, therefore, probably all played by him on the keyboard. That's awesome. Love it. Back in.
I can live without love in my life. There's just an empty space. All my dreams are lost. I'm wasting away.
Now in this second verse, he's making more motion. And so there's a bit more agitation to what he's doing. The hand motions are bigger. And it's not a lot. But because we're focusing entirely on him, we're not zoomed out, like we're very tight in on him, and he wasn't doing much in the previous verse, you already feel the greater movement that he's putting into this. I like that. It kind of keeps the video active, which, you know, when you're just a single singer on a microphone and that's it in the video, other than cutting to the instruments, you need to keep interest, and I think he's doing a great job of that.
Empty space. All my dreams are lost. I'm wasting away.
Nice. Love that as they go up and up and up. That's a fantastic vocal line and so much power put into it. And it's you're upping the stakes massively of what's about to happen. He's really, you know, that was a great choice to go up the full octave through that arpeggio. And again, the visual motion, we're seeing more. It's such simple things. We're seeing more of his arm in the video, and he's increasing what we see him doing and what we see. There's more of him, and it's a subtle thing. But again, because we're only seeing him, these things act the same way as bringing in more band members, or filling in a background, or zooming. You know, having a dolly push to bring the camera in closer to someone. That's kind of effectively what he's achieving here. There's also that moment where he looks directly at camera, which was the first point. I caught that first time around, and I was like, interesting. I feel like this is going to be a device, and then it was, which is great. I like that we see the focus is on the instrument as much as it is on him playing. Like, we're not seeing both of his hands and the section of the instrument that he's playing here. We're seeing the top end of the piano that he's not actually playing at all, and just the tip of the right hand. It's interesting, because it's kind of saying the piano is a character here too. It's not just me playing it. The piano is a key part of this arrangement. There's that quick little glance right before that cut to the guitar of him looking at the camera. Especially because he's been looking off camera this whole time. It's a change in how we look at what we're seeing. Because all of a sudden we're seeing him address us for a moment as the audience. So it kind of sets up a little more of what's to come. And it makes that joke at the end where he has to restart the track. It pays off because it's not as jarring because he started setting it up already. And now he's really giving it to us. Like that. This is entirely my heart belongs to you, right out to the audience. You can't there's no he just accidentally looked at the camera about that anymore. Not that he did, but any thought that wasn't there wasn't intention behind that is now out of the picture, because he's being very, very serious about paying attention. I just realised, is that a Majestica shirt he's wearing underneath? That's his other band, other than Sabaton. Not sure. I just saw EST, but now I don't know their logo very well. So, anyway, sorry, sidetrack. Yeah, I love that. I love this. It's one of my. It's such a cool moment in the guitar part here, where you have this run. We're all right there. Bum 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 bum. Nice. I like that. You get this. He starts the climb on the ladies. Lady, oh lady. But cuts off, and we're just left with the guitar. And so it's a teaser for what's going to come the next time around before the guitar solo, where he goes, lady. Oh my good lord. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Lady, lady, lady. And he goes all the way up into that massively high note there. Yeah, it's a really cool way to end the first verse, just hovering there. Or second verse, I guess.
She's gone out of my life. so hard to go on. I miss that girl, my love.
Now you know that there's a bit of comedy coming into this, because there's that massively dramatic turn to camera and just the sort of... I love that. I really miss that girl, and then all of a sudden there's the shifty eyes. I like what he's doing with this. It's a lot of fun. It's. I was prepared for this to be deep and serious, and it's. I like the humor. I think it's fun. It's. It seems to suit his character very well, so I have no problem with it.
I really miss that girl, my love.
A slight raised eyebrow.
Come back into my arms.
And again, he's singing that straight out to the audience. I love that, because it's like it actually increases the connection that we have with him a little bit, ironically, even while it's sort of adding humor into a serious lyric, because the eyes are the window to the soul and all that. And now, rather than looking off camera and directing everything over the microphone, he's now directing it directly to us, the audience, and therefore we're kind of drawn in a little bit, even as he's being goofy about this.
I'm so alone. I'm begging you. I'm down on my knees. Forgive me,
Woo! That's great. I love that. That's it's a really cool increase up. I like that he starts it on the fifth. He goes up to. It's the fifth up to the tonic, so it settles. We go up to the second, and it would have been quite okay and a perfectly good build if he just left it there, and then he goes all the way up to the fifth above, and you get this lovely high kind of wail over the top. That's great. It's just so much fun, because I think he's doing such a fantastic job, A, of singing this song full stop, B, of paying tribute to its kind of status as a late 80s, well, it was 90s, but it's kind of got the late 80s, early 90s sort of power metal ballad thing going on. And yet he's able to put some satire of that style, especially in terms of their music videos, into his performance. This is great. This is so great.
forgive me, God. What you say, man? My heart belongs to you. Lady, can you forgive me for all I've done to you? Lady,
Yes! And that's what I was talking about earlier. He set that up beautifully, and allows himself to just sail up there into that stratosphere of that high note. My mouse on the screen. The stratosphere of that high note. It's so effective. Absolutely love that. Excuse me for 1 minute. I just have to pause and go and grab myself a glass of water because I can feel my throat drying out. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I will hopefully make it through the rest of this video without coughing too much. Anyway, back to where we were. And it's interesting, right, so what I was saying about he's going all the way up to that top note. And what's great about it too is, it's interesting because he's putting so much into it. I am not familiar with Tommy's range. I don't know if that's what he needs to do. Like, this sounds like it's pushing towards the top of his range. So presumably he needs to put a fair amount of effort in to get a note out this powerfully up there anyway. But he's not choosing to make this a melodramatic moment. He's choosing to make it about the note that he's singing and the music. And so we do have him facing off camera while he's, doing everything he needs to do and putting in a lot of emotion into the music as it is, plus what he needs to do to get the note out. So I like the fact that he's taken this really powerful moment in the song and is making it about the song. I think his balance of the satire comedy versus, where he's choosing to sing more seriously is fantastic. It's what allows him to get away with this in a otherwise fairly serious song. Yeah, that's great. Okay, on to shredding guitar solos. I love that. I don't have much to say about the guitar solo, to be honest. It's great. But I can't even really talk too much about how he's playing it, because we can see every single detail. Which is fine. I've played a fair amount of guitar, but my experience of that kind of speed solo is limited. But fantastic solo. Really great. In the tone of the 80s, or 90s, however you want to think about it, 1990. But also contemporary. What I do love is that he goes up to this final big guitar note and wails an entrance over the top of it. It's kind of you do hear that done, but not terribly often. It's kind of a subversion of the end of a guitar solo. I just think that's fun. It's a great way for him to come back in. Excuse me. And actually, it plays on what I was just saying. So it's the same bum 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 bum. It's the same 4 notes that he just sang at the end of the vocal solo, but the last 2 happen at once. The guitar does the bow bow bow, and I'd just been saying that's a perfectly acceptable place to leave what you're doing, and he does with the guitar. But at the same time, bow, he comes in on that top 5th in the vocal note over the top of the guitar playing the second. I love the way that he's balanced what he's doing here. This is great. It's cute. It kind of works. What I love is that's exactly the kind of thing that if you were doing this by yourself, you would forget to hit that button if there were to be a button to hit. I've done stuff like that before. Not exactly this, but you get caught up in the moment and you forget that there's one thing you have to do to carry things on. It's a great piece of humor, because to anyone who's been in a studio recording situation, especially if they've been in a situation where they are not only the artist and the solo artist, but also the engineer. Yeah, that kind of tracks as a thing that you could do in a take. And that would it's thrown me off before, where I've just missed one thing to do, or I haven't switched on distortion on the settings on the computer or something like that, and what comes out next isn't what it should be, and it can really throw you off. Here it's played off as, oh no, we're just going to do this and carry on, and of course he goes back into it full strength. But it's a fun little gag. It's one of those things that it's funny anyway, and then if you know what the situation feels like, there's that sort of close to home feeling about it. But yeah, I'm just going to go back a little bit on this because I knew that was coming, so I was kind of focusing on it. You can also see here he started opening his mouth more as the song has been ramping up and ramping up and ramping up. So where at the beginning everything was a little bit more, the jaw was a little higher, now it's dropping a little bit more to get the notes out with a bit more power. I love him singing this, it's great. And then we get this. And then he just comes back in all the way up there. That's great. That's also, that shows... I don't know how this was recorded, of course, but it shows some of his skill to be able to re-enter that high at that powerfully. Re-entry after a pause is a difficult thing to do, and you don't really... It's always tougher to do at the extreme of a range. Also very, very, very cool riffing here. And there the worlds are starting to bleed together a little bit. There's something... I don't know. Potentially that is something that he does for the production of that sound. I suspect that is him having a laugh. Because it's just so exaggerated. But I love that you have that against the serious... he's in... I sort of see it as serious Tommy, goofy Tommy, right? It depends on where he's looking at any given moment. And I like that he's in serious Tommy here, and we start to have a little bit... there's a little bit of humor creeping into what he's doing there as well. It's also, of all the places to put that kind of sound, my heart belongs to you, but it's going to have this crazy pattern of notes there. It's so good. I love this final chord change here. That is so good. I love that. That's very unexpected. Of all of the musical things he does in this, that's the one where I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? That was unexpected. Everything else in this is fairly, you can predict where it's coming from. That just comes out of nowhere. And then it stops and we get that echo fading off into the background. That's really cool. And then full bore Goofy Tommy. That is fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that. I think his sense of humor is perfect to be covering something like this, not making it entirely serious, having a bit of fun with it. But the talent on display there. Fantastic guitar player, very effective keyboard player, and obviously programmer too, if he's done, or not programmer exactly, but, he's created himself a fantastic backing track with the percussion and the orchestral instruments that he's used there. And then obviously the singing in that, my goodness, his voice is excellent. That's a really good cover of the Steelheart song. And I would urge you, if you're watching this video and you haven't heard Steelheart, go and listen to that song. It's fantastic. It really, really is. But this is a brilliant, brilliant cover of it. Well played, Tommy. Thank you, Karina, for recommending this. I know you said it was going to be a fun way to start the year, and you were not wrong. So yeah, there we have it. I think that that was a really good first video. I feel I was not gonna lie, I was a tiny bit concerned it was going to be a little serious, just because I didn't know Tommy's personality, and the nature of the song. You know, could be perceived as being a little dark, but I think this rendition of it was exactly the right tone. I think you get some really solid music with a great performance and some humor in there as well. So that was wonderful. And it's nice to start the new year with I know I've seen Sabaton, but with somebody new. I was going to look up very, very quickly. I think it said Elements of Power on the t-shirt. Is that a Majestica album? No, it's not. I thought it said... I assumed it was a Majestica shirt, but maybe I'm wrong about that. If anybody happens to know, I'm just curious. Anyway, yes. Very much enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you got something out of it and had a good time watching this as well. Next week, I will be bringing in my first a cappella group of the year, probably Pentatonics, because in terms of I try and keep a rough rotation going so that everybody, I'm sort of moving through the groups and bringing them in at roughly even intervals, and through not having a sort of New Year's specific song that I could find on short notice anyway, or perhaps more specifically because Home Free did have Auld Lang Syne. They got bumped out of order, so I'll probably do them next week. And hope to see you. Hope you'll join me for that video. Again, please like this if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Would love to hit that 1,000 in the next few days. I'm sure we can manage that, and then onwards and upwards from there. But that's a huge first milestone. I started this channel. If you haven't been with me all this long, I started this channel because a friend of mine sent me Voice Play's Wicked medley and wanted to see my reaction. Because he's back in the UK. He knew I would get a kick out of it. He knew my mind would be blown by what happened. And I just thought, he said, can you video your reaction and send it to me? And I'd watched some reaction channels and just thought, stuff it. I'll put it out on YouTube and see what happens. That was October the 16th I launched that. And we're now, less than 3 months down the line. And I'm about to tip over that 1,000. I know I could probably be there even sooner, but of course my longer videos, I think, put some people off. But this is how I enjoy looking at this stuff, so that's unfortunately just going to be the way I am. And thank you if you're still here watching this. I hope you've enjoyed everything I've had to say about this, because this is, I enjoy sharing not just the music, but also thoughts and comments. I like discussing music with people, and this is just another way of doing that. So I hope you did enjoy. But yes, like I was saying, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you'd like to, and if you care to, head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, and you can buy me a coffee there if you would like to donate to support the channel. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have a good night, morning, evening, lunchtime, whatever time it is that you're watching this. Take care of yourselves, have a wonderful 2023, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye for now.